rescuer. My name is India, and today I'm going to be discussing yet another of my 1,000,001 different hobbies. So I am the woman of far too many pastimes, and I never have enough time to really get to all of them, and one of those is LARPing. So I don't just make items that are historically inspired, I also do fantasy related items, and part of that is because I have a real love for fantasy, and I love heroic storytelling, I love epic storytelling, and one of the best places to do that is through LARPing. So for those who don't know, LARPing or live action roleplay is kind of like the natural next step up from Dungeons and Dragons. It is make-believe as adults, where a lot of people dress up as fantasy characters and hit each other with foam swords. It's an absolutely rip-roaring time. I can highly recommend it, and the LARPing community is one of the most welcoming and gracious communities you can ever be part of. It's really fantastic. Do give it a go if you ever have the vaguest inclination towards it. But one of the things that I've noticed in the 2 years or so of LARPing that I've done, full disclosure, I haven't gone back LARPing since the start of COVID, but I do intend to do so in the future at some point. But one of the major things that I notice as a costumer and as someone who really loves the making and the structure of costumes and clothing and what they sort of tell you about a person is that when people start LARPing, they get a bit overwhelmed by the idea of setting up their character costume because there's so much that you have to get and there's so many different layers and items and options that people just sort of end up getting nothing and turning up in sweatpants and sneakers. And it's great to do that, especially for the first few months, but it really helps with immersion for yourself and for other players if you actually start to invest in your character and build up some soft kit at least, so that when you turn up, you look the part. And it makes you feel really good when you look the part. So part of what I'm going to talk about today is how I put together my LARP kit and how others can put theirs together based on practicality, utility during game, as well as sort of how you create the story and convey the story of your character through the things that you make, and where I'm also going to tell you how to do it really, really cheaply, because I am a stingy person. Without further ado, let me start the process of telling you about my LARP kit. So first and foremost, LARPing is a sport, and it is a contact sport, so you want to be wearing something that is comfortable underneath all of your fantasy garb, but not something that's going to be intrusive upon your experience or another person's experience of the fantasy world that you are playing in. So some serious tips for your undergarments. Try not to get anything with brand symbols on them. Try and wear something that's dark and neutral, and make sure above all that it is comfortable and lightweight enough that you can wear heavier things over the top of it. Your tunic is, as far as I'm concerned, the absolute bare minimum costume component. You need to have a tunic because everything else can be built up upon it, and on hot days you can just wear the tunic and you can get away with wearing that as your costume alone. But of course, tunics are simple. It's nice to add some little details. So as you can see, I have painted some runes along the outside of my hood, and I've also added a nice fur trim that was made from a leftover scrap of faux fur. It's looking rather ratty, you can see, but faux fur can actually be brushed out with a short comb brush quite easily. So to make a simple tunic, all you need is a rectangle. You cut a slice down the middle and put a circle in the center, and then you fold it over in half and sew down the edges. And that's all you need. Then a plain white shirt underneath it and you are good to go. My second layer is a bodice that I happened to get thrifted for less than $10. It is made out of a kind of suede fabric. I think it's from the late 90s, early 2000s, but it's really great and in keeping with the overall fantasy theme, so it's great to layer it over the top of other things. This is, of course, my first layer, and you can already see that it's adding interest and dynamic to the costume. Another simple way to add interest to otherwise a very basic costume is to add trims along the base. So as you can see along the front hem and the bottom hem, I've got two different kinds of leftover trims that I added just to make it look a little different. LARPing really does start to get expensive when you begin investing in the true metal armor, and whilst it's great to add to your overall hit points, it can be quite limiting. So in order to sort of split the difference for me, I made my pauldron out of an old skateboard knee pad that I spray painted with silver and then weathered with a little bit of black. It's also got attached to it various beads and totemic items because my character is a wildling, and so she is specifically connected with nature, and a lot of the little items are meant to be family trinkets and things that she's picked up along the way. Another item that really helps to add to the layers for me is the folds. So the folds are a type of armor that sits over your hips and thighs, and it kind of offers padding for either metal, or it can also be leather look to just provide some light armor for you. It really helps when the blows from the foam weapons are, aimed at legs primarily. It sort of softens it and keeps you from getting as many bruises, but it's also great because it adds just that extra half point to a point of extra hit points for you as well. And they look really cool. The weathering, again, is a really simple process. I bought this quilted pleather look fabric, added some thick canvas on the back of it, and then weathered it with just some black paint that was dry brushed over the lines and around the areas where major wear and tear would occur. So belts are one of my favourite parts of putting together LARP costumes. Belts are just so versatile and so easy to pick up from op shops. They add such a quick and easy area of interest, and they're so great for giving you that fantasy dropped in the world sort of feel, especially when they're long enough that you can actually tie them like a proper medieval belt. And they're excellent for attaching any and all kinds of pouches and sacks and money bags, all that sort of thing. You can put it on your belt. You can even add a sword frog for whatever kind of foam weaponry you're wearing. A quick bit of background for my character. She was part of an island nation, and she chose a secluded lifestyle where she would help raise griffins, and when the world called, she would answer with her sword and shield. And so there's griffin eggs as part of her pouches. There's all sorts of different goodies in her bag. She also is a bit of a huntress, and so there's hints of fur and beads and stuff like that in the costume. On a more utilitarian level, the pouch is really great because it allows you to carry all sorts of things. You can put a water bottle in there, you can put snacks in there throughout the day. The major items added in this jump from pouches to accessories is the braces, which are a leather look bracer that I made myself from old sheets of vinyl flooring. The wig itself adds such a different look to the outfit, and again is an instant way of creating characters. It's great to have powerful, striking makeup as well. If you only have a relatively simple costume, it's a really great way of distinguishing yourself from amongst your clan or your group. I myself have scars on the side of my face for my character that are quite raised. Otherwise, just the cape is a bit of fabric scrap, and there's other bits and pieces on my belt now as well, like bandages and things like that for healing properties and healing skills. And so there you have it. That is the basics of how to put together your very first or very second or 10th LARP kit. And I hope these tips have been helpful to you, and I hope that unpacking how I put together my outfit allows you to create your own unique, beautiful, fantasy-based LARP kit. Comment down below if you enjoyed the video, and let me know if you plan on building any LARP kits in the future. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.